So put a 1 in the chat if you have a good list of verses, passages, stories in the Bible that you have used or are planning to use in your next courtship/marriage. Put a 2 in the chat if you are trying to put the list together, don't really know where to start in terms of verses and passages that help to illustrate biblical spouses. Now, for this one, I can actually put a 1 in the chat because Ephesians 5 and I think Colossians 3 are my go-to biblical spouse passages. Like when you're trying to study a person, trying to pray and see if this person is right, da 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 da. But this one here will be another passage that will go in my list, in my collection, when it comes to understanding what it looks like to be a biblical spouse. So again, this is 1 Peter chapter 3, specifically verses 1 and 2. 1 and 2. So it says, in the same way, you wives be submissive to your own husbands, so that even if any of them are disobedient to the word, they may be won without a word by the behavior of their wives, as they observe your chaste and respectful behavior. Now, first of all, I put because I'm like, wait a minute. Now, of course, I do want to study it more, but it just kind of, as you go through, it is like giving more example of what that marriage should look like, where it talks about her adornment, how she's dressing. Basically, don't just dress pretty, right? We got to be pretty on the inside, if that makes sense. It says your adornment must not be merely. See, it says merely, like don't just be externally looking great, right? Your adornment must not be merely external, braiding the hair and wearing gold jewelry or putting on dresses, but let it be the hidden person of the heart. Like, what does your heart look like? How are you, speaking to him? How are you behaving around him? It's not about what we're dressing like and all of that. With the imperishable quality of a gentle and quiet spirit. Now, back in the day, I was like, hold up, what's that supposed to mean? But it's like, I get it, right? Because it's like, when we have a rah spirit, like always wanting to fight this, that, and the other, that's not going to get us anywhere, right? But it's saying a gentle and quiet spirit, which is precious in the sight of God. So if God thinks as a wife, us having a gentle and quiet spirit is something precious, then of course that's something that, I want to obtain to, right? And it says, for in this way, in former times, the holy women also who hoped in God used to adorn themselves, being submissive to their own husbands, just as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. And you have become her children if you do what is right, without being frightened by any fear. You husbands, okay, so it's not just the women, right? Let's not forget verse 7. You husbands, in the same way, live with your wives in an understanding way, as with someone weaker, since she is a woman, and show her honor as a fellow heir, right? Fellow heir, not below, not above, a fellow heir of the grace of life, so that your prayers will not be hindered. Now, that was another one. I had to highlight that because I'm like, that's basically saying when you don't do that, when you don't honor her as a fellow heir, your prayers will be hindered. Point blank, period. So in verse 8, to sum up, all of you be harmonious, sympathetic, brotherly, kind-hearted, and humble spirit. So yeah, I want to add this to my courtship marriage prayer packet where I'm just looking at, like, how does this person behave? Does this person try to put me above or below them? Like, do they treat me like a fellow heir? Like, are they understanding, right? And then even me, when I'm around this person, am I able to be where did it go? Am I able to have a gentle and quiet spirit, or am I always wanting to argue with this person? Is this person possibly triggering something or bringing something out within me? So yeah, adding that to the list. But yeah, so again, do you have a list of verses, passages, references that you go to during a courtship? Put one in the chat. And put a 2 if you are still working on your list. And perhaps if you do put a 2, this could be something that could be a passage that you could put in that study packet. All right, y'all be blessed. And happy courtship.